Welcome to PDR Tool Time. We want to take a moment to thank our sponsors that bring this great content to your listening ears week after week. B&D Tools, innovative PDR accessories for PDR professionals.
Edgy Tools, the king of PDR accessories that get the job done.
CBDdirectoils.com. It's not marijuana, kids. It's perfectly legal relief for all your aches and pains.
Welcome to another episode of PDR Tool Time. Today's episode is number 182. This is John Renstrom alongside my fellow host Daniel Grom and Mr. Vince D'Alessandro. Away, out, not even showing up tonight is Mr. Hudson Tansey, so we're going to forget he even exists. How's everybody doing?
Who?
I don't know that guy.
Right? I'm doing good. How you doing, Daniel?
I had a friggin' phenomenal day. Just actually had somebody from Mobiletech RX come up and visit me, one of the new sales guys, and I'll tell you a little bit about an estimate I had earlier. Go ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, Daniel had someone visit him from Mobiletech RX, and
yeah, Matt McAllister, our brand new head of marketing, he's taken over all of the marketing, so he's actually doesn't live that far from Daniel, so he crash coursed his way on into Daniel's shop today.
Yeah, actually, really nice guy. He had a nice presence to him, and I think he's going to be a good addition for you guys.
I think so.
Yeah, and I got to talk to him a little bit about some of the tiki bars down in San Francisco. So I told him,
of course you did.
Yeah, I had to, I'm like, dude, I go, you have to go to Zombie Village. And he goes, well, let me look that up. Oh my God, that's like 8 minutes from my house. I'm going there. So nice. I have to get a report back.
Well, the guy that did Zombie Village just built one 2 blocks away from my house here, the Bamboo Club. Yeah. So been going there. It's tough though. There's some pretty pricey drinks, and they're really sweet. So I can only handle like 1.5, 2. It's like
and if they're too sweet, they're not making it right. They're not balancing it.
I'm not good on the super sweet drinks.
I've taken myself off of sugar almost completely. I never drink soda anymore. It's not like I'm on a health kick, but I definitely feel better without soda in my life. And I don't feel better because I haven't been taking my CBD oil.
Why not?
Well, I ran out and then I restocked.
Well, that's your fault.
It was my fault. Yes.
You realize it's a website, cbddirectoils.com.
Yeah, we advertise it. We have promo codes.
Yes.
Come on. There's no excuse for you.
No, there isn't any excuse. But I had a lapse, and I hadn't taken anything for probably a month. I'm like, you know what?
Really?
Yeah. And I could feel myself like slowly going down and down and down. And I still had the rub that I was putting the rub on my aches and pains on the shoulders. But I've noticed myself getting more anxious. Although I do have a lot of crap going on in my life. But anxiety is starting to creep up. I'm not sleeping as well at night because I always took it at night right before I went to bed. And, if I
we're all
headache.
the same, I think. I think we're all like, our minds never shut off. I talk to a lot of other dent techs, and honestly, you take a little bit of CBD under your tongue right before bed when your mind's not shutting off.
Yeah.
You've had those nights where you sleep, but your mind doesn't sleep.
Oh yeah.
And you don't feel rested.
Exactly.
And
take
CBD
in the morning.
You take it in the morning?
Okay.
Yeah, I have to take it in the morning.
Why is
if
that?
I take it at night, I will sleep so hard. I'll be up at like 5 a.m. going, I think I can repaint the stripes better myself on the highway. I'll be right back.
Really?
So it's like,
what's wrong with that? That's the way I want to be in the morning, man.
So I take it in the morning. I take it more for my sciatic nerve.
Oh yeah. Okay.
On my back. So I get up in the morning and I'm about paralyzed. So
yeah, I
take that and mellows me out, gets me started on my day. But yeah, I'll sleep extra hard though if I take it just before bed.
Yeah.
Well, if you guys haven't tried CBD, give it, go, promote us go on there, use the promo code because it helps our show, and we bring you this free content. And we would appreciate it if you did that. And it's just great stuff, and try it out.
Yeah, and I wasn't, bringing it up to like promote them. Of course, they're a sponsor, but I mean, it actually works, and it works for me. It doesn't work for everyone. I gave it to my mom, and she couldn't hang with it. But she's 80 years old, and my dad just passed away 3 months ago. So I think she's still.
I'm so afraid it's gonna get me high.
No, that wasn't it at all. It was more along the lines.
I've had that a few times, giving it to relatives, and they were like, "Oh no," or guys going, "Oh, my work drug test me, my drug," and I'm like, "It's not like that."
Yeah. I've heard mixed emotions on the drug testing, but like my wife, it doesn't have that good of an effect on her, like it does on me.
You got to try it and see if it works for you.
Yeah. Well, also you got to, there's a reason why CBD Direct Oils has I'm looking at 7 different versions, because not every version is the same and not every version works for everybody. Some people prefer the edibles, some people prefer the creams.
Yeah.
I've used some of the rubs and they help.
I'm addicted to the rubs. Yeah. I mean, come on, we're Dent guys. We have shoulders and forearms that are sore and necks that are sore all the freaking time.
Yeah.
It just dawned on me, we probably shouldn't be talking about creams and rubbing on Dent guys at all.
Yeah. All right, we'll move on. All right. So is there any news going on out in the world? We do have Mobiletech Expo. Why am I so stuck on that lately? Mobiletech Expo in Vegas.
I know. You guys, Mobiletech RX and Expo, it's like you get it wrong every time I bring up the other one.
Yeah. Well, and then if you guys are California, I know we do have a big listening audience here in California. If you're in Southern California, or if you're visiting doing hail damage up in Northern California, I've had a lot of inquiries from Northern California. If you're in the California area this coming Saturday,
17th.
The 17th, yeah. That would be this coming Saturday. I think this drops on Tuesday. We will. Yeah. I'm hosting just a get-together, a tech meetup at my shop. It's in beautiful Santa Ana, California. It's right off the freeway, nice freeway close to 405 and the 55. 5 minutes away from John Wayne Airport. Come out. Myself and Mike Toledo, we're hosting it, and it's going to be a lot of fun. It's just going to be low key. We're going to sit around, talk about tools, talk about whatever, business practices, whatever we want. Craig and Cupcakes, which is Lisa Dyer, Craig Dyer and Cupcakes. They'll be coming out. They wanted to come out and hang out with some Southern California people and see the beach and all
They're
that.
coming out to see you?
Yeah, they are. All the more reason why you need to come down, Daniel.
That's right.
No, I'm going to have my own, and then I'm going to make them come see me.
Yeah, we'll see who's more popular.
Yeah. Actually,
Vince is already booked.
Yeah.
And he's booked. Well,
actually, a couple people PM me and said, "Hey, why don't you have one?" And so I'm. Actually, if you're interested, if you're in Northern California, and if I hosted one, if you're interested, let me know. If you're interested, PM me and on Facebook, and let me know that you be willing to come. That'll give me a gauge of there's enough guys up here.
All right. Well, we got about 30 to 40 that have already RSVP'd there, Daniel. The competition's on. You got to beat.
Well, you're in LA, man. Come on. You're how many thousands, millions of people are in LA?
Yeah, just about
how many Dent techs are in LA? That's what I want to know.
A ton. There's a ton. There probably just as many in Dallas Fort Worth area or Texas.
Yeah.
So it's a big congregation.
Yep, I'd believe it.
And we're all going to meet up and have a good time. There may or may not be cases of beer in the cooler. So
no human bowling.
No human bowling going on.
All right, just making sure.
Hey,
you never know.
John, tell them what not to do.
Yeah.
Don't do stupid stuff.
Don't do stupid stuff. Yeah.
Don't do stupid stuff.
I will be firing up the grill. I'll have some hot dogs and hamburgers and chips and salsa and all sorts of stuff. So it'll be fun. So if you're in the area, stop by.
If I have one, I'm going to have tri-tip.
Of course. And tiki drinks.
And rum.
Yeah.
and rum.
I will not have
There
hard liquor.
definitely be tiki drinks.
No. There might be a couple cases of Coors Light.
Yeah, but gotta keep Craig's, he gets parched when he
Exactly.
travels.
Yes.
And need some Coors Light.
Yes. So
So.
come on out.
All right.
Leave your
And if
ego
Craig
at the
comes
door.
and sees me, I'm buying him a new set of flip flops.
The dude goes through flip flops like crazy. He's got a
Yeah,
whole
he
closet
does.
full of them.
But he wears the same brand that I like, so I
Yeah.
like them
Yeah.
for that.
So yeah, it starts about 9 a.m. and it'll go to whenever, probably 2 or 3 , and then we'll probably go.
Okay,
to
enough
a bar.
about that. Let's
Yes,
move on.
I'm trying to, but you keep on interrupting me. I want to finish what it is.
Dang, kids. It's like watching mom and dad fight over here. All right, knock it off.
All right.
Can't we just go to Disneyland?
Anything else going on? Did we know? Of?
Dent Stuff did a new little update on their rod.
I saw that with the tips.
Yeah, tapering it and stuff, which is I was going to make that suggestion to him because when you're sliding into a truck bed, it gets hung up a little bit. And so he tapered it so it doesn't do that. It's beautiful and it looks nicer. I like it.
All right.
So,
And it
good
looks
stuff.
like, what was that?
Come on.
The square hail rods. I just drew a blank. I don't even know how I
Endeavor.
drew a blank on it.
Endeavor.
Endeavor and Carbon Tech have been working on some joint adventures.
Yeah, they're working on some stuff that I've been getting a little preview of. And
Now I got to play with some of it.
did you? And
I did. That's
you like
that
it?
the hood hold down that they're working on is beyond impressive. And that's even, it doesn't matter if you're putting a hood or a door on a stand and to be able to lock it down tight in
Yeah.
fractions of time of rope ratchets. I mean, it's
Yeah.
Very cool.
I like that whole idea, the whole concept.
I like my
So-
claw. I do like my claw, but yeah, always open to new ideas too.
yeah, this is pretty cool. And I saw a light modification that is in practice.
From?
So that will be part of a Carbon Tech release.
Now, hold on.
Todd's posted a couple of things on Facebook about it.
Okay.
So,
I was going to say, because, dude, you're in like North Dakota. What the hell
South
happens?
Dakota.
Or, I'm sorry, South
South
Dakota.
Dakota.
South Dakota.
Todd was out helping the guys that I've been going up and giving a hand to once in a while.
Oh,
So,
okay. So you're seeing Todd.
so
and new
yeah,
stuff.
Todd and I sat down. We talked for a little while. I got to check out some of the new stuff. It was pretty sweet. I really look forward to seeing that stuff getting released.
Very
Everything
cool.
I saw was in beta, so it's still rough versions, and you guys know how that goes. But
Yeah.
still,
I got a
it was
new
fun.
tool from Japan, a new tip that I can't really talk about just yet, but that will be at MTE from.
Yeah.
So you know what?
And I didn't get one.
Yeah.
neither did I.
You know,
But like you said, who
Yeah,
are
but-
you, John?
but Vince is supposed to take care of me, and he didn't take care of me.
Well,
and
I assume
see how
because
that
Hudson
is.
got one and
Yeah, the
Wade
man on the
Hartley.
street.
And,
got
Hudson
one.
got one.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get one.
yeah. Well, anyways. So, all right, we do have a show for you today besides us just bickering back and forth at each other.
Tell us, Vince, what is the show
Well,
today?
listen, we have the one and only Randy Hobson coming on the show.
Yeah.
The technician that has been around for a long time. I look up to the man. He's a good dude. I don't know why we haven't had him on sooner, but I am going to call him right now.
Good.
And
Let's
John,
He's expecting that call.
yeah, John, why don't you? He is expecting it, and John, why don't you talk to him? That way, we don't all jump on top of each other, and you introduce him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, if you guys haven't gotten on Facebook and seen PDR interviews with that Randy Hobson does, you really need to look up those PDR interviews.
Yeah, they're cool.
They're great stories from good technicians.
Yeah, I want to give him like the proper introduction here with our
Hello.
guest, Randy.
Yes, sir.
Hold
How
on.
are you?
Hold on. We have an introduction for you first. Hold on.
All right. Well, welcome, Randy, the one and only Randy Hobson. How you doing, sir?
Hi, guys. Too kind.
The man, the myth, the legend. He is showing
Oh,
up
boy.
live and well on the telephone.
and
But
you're
that
on
is-
on with Vince and myself.
Yes,
and
I'm here too.
John, of course. So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, Randy and
So
I
I-
talked earlier today.
did you?
So
We did.
Yeah.
How you doing, Randy?
Yeah.
This is Daniel.
I am
Brown.
doing fantastic. Hey, Daniel, how are you doing, man? This is
I'm doing
fantastic.
awesome.
Thanks for having me on, you guys. This is what an honor.
Yeah, the last time we saw you was in Vegas, and you were interviewing us. So, thank you.
Yeah.
Well,
Little payback here.
I actually saw Randy, John and myself saw Randy at the 300 Alliance in March.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
That was good.
Yeah, you're doing some great stuff, Randy. So we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Man, thank
Love
you,
those,
guys.
the PDR interviews. I was just plugging those just before we dialed you up. So those are
Nice.
great.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun.
So let me ask you this, Randy. You've been around a long time. You've actually been around probably just as long as Daniel. Daniel was what, 91? And you're about that time too, aren't you? 93. I'm sorry.
I was 93, 94, right at the end of 93 into 94. And
All right.
Matt Wilson, who owns Dent Express, is the one that trained me, and I worked with him for a little bit less than a year and thought the grass was going to be greener. And I split, but I never burned a bridge with him. And to this day, I'm back with him as of March.
Oh, wow.
And out of the St. Louis market. And then we're also doing hail. If it's not going to hail in St. Louis, we'll take some teams to kind of help build some revenue and
Nice.
do some hail around the country.
So Randy, let me ask you this. So you're from St. Louis. Your business was started in St. Louis and all that, right?
Yes.
So you're kind of like, I always consider St. Louis the epicenter of PDR as we know it in this country.
Yes, absolutely.
You'd agree with that. Daniel, he probably had no idea about St. Louis. He was trained up in on the West Coast, up north and all that. But, he knew Tom Price, which, came from the Midwest and stuff like that. Ain't that right?
Well, the
Daniel?
guys that trained me was from Missouri. So,
Oh, was he?
Okay.
Yeah.
And who was that, Daniel?
Mike,
remember their names?
Mike Haggard.
Mike Haggard.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know Mike, but I've heard of his name.
He trained
Craig Dyer, too.
Craig Dyer.
Got it. Okay.
He actually
look at
was a good trainer. He was a good trainer, gave me good tools, did a month of training, so did everything right. So I'm thankful for all that.
Man.
Yeah.
PDR guys.
I,
It's like the 6 degrees of separation here.
Exactly.
I know. Yeah. It's always who trained you.
Yeah.
So
That's true.
So would you consider yourself a hail guy or a door dinger?
So I started off the first few years as a door dinger. And 2001, St. Louis got hit with a monster storm. And I think to this day, it was the number one, according to Hail Trace, at the Hail Expo. I believe 2001 in St. Louis is the largest hailstorm to ever, as far as catastrophe damaging wise, in the United States. And that was my first bout with hail. 95, I think I went out and did a couple of little hailstorms down in Dallas with a big storm that hit down there. But it was a true 3-day little gig, and we got kicked out of a dealership. And I went to work for somebody. I had no idea who they were. And, they heard I was a Dent guy and I was there looking for work. So they brought me on board, and I believe I was there for about 3 days, and these guys was chewing tobacco and spitting on the floor in the body shop. And, I'm not a big tobacco chewer, so I wasn't doing it, but I was guilty by association. And the third day I was there, I remember this little wiry guy comes into the Chevy store and into the body shop, and one of the techs was talking to him and spits on the floor, and he goes, "You going to clean that up?" The guy said, "No, I'm not going to clean that up." And the guy says, "I'm the owner of this business, and my boys roll around on the floor. So if you're not going to clean it up, just get out." He goes, "Matter of fact, just get out, all of you." So I was guilty by association. That was my first trip out in Dallas, Texas, with guys I didn't know, and never seen them again. Never got paid, never saw them.
Oh, jeez.
Interesting. Wow.
Yeah, you gotta know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
That's quite the intro into hail chasing. I showed up with these tobacco spitters and got booted out.
Yeah, but all those early stories are all like that, it seems like.
Yeah, it's I remember in the very beginning going from door dinging to chasing hail, and I would watch the Weather Channel, and as soon as I'd find out it would hail somewhere, I'd be like, I'd just drive there and start driving around and asking people. That was before I knew of any kind of NOAA reports or anything like that. So we're talking the mid 90s, because I did try to chase some hail between 95 to 2001, but 2001 was kind of where I earned my stripes. But I do remember the days when I did find out about NOAA, and I was like, yeah, here, look at this. So you have your latitude longitude lines. So I'd go up to the, I don't even remember the computers. I think my computer was a 1 gigabyte. That was like the thing. The dial-up tones and everything. And, there's NOAA. Okay, here's the storm. Yeah. And I remember I would get it, and I'd go up to the library and I'd get the latitude longitude lines, and I'd take my ruler and I had a pencil and I'd draw on these maps up, atlas map type things.
Yeah.
And it would pinpoint me exactly where I should go. So I would actually, that's how I started chasing hail many years ago. And I would actually just do that and get directions and go there and start driving all around town and find out where it hailed.
Oh, how the times have changed.
God,
Oh,
man.
my goodness.
See, these
Crazy.
young whippersnappers have a lot to learn.
Well, now,
It's,
I mean, geez, we can all pull up 12 different apps and see neighborhoods that got hit with hail. The size of the hail,
The houses, whatever.
Oh, the
Yeah.
houses,
Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, we can have their cell phone numbers. We can have their email addresses. We know how much money they spent on the home. We know the customer's name.
yeah, exactly.
It's crazy.
It is.
And it's all right there on it. I remember dreaming of the day that we could chase storms and have live radar on your phone, and and all that, and poof, it's just like it happened overnight.
Yeah.
And
Now,
yeah,
Red-
pretty neat stuff.
It's funny. You reminded me. My first hailstorm I went to was in Normal, Illinois.
I know Normal.
With
Bloomington,
Tom
Bloomington,
Price.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We get set up in this dealership, and I guess we're near one of I think we're near the Mitsubishi dealer manufacturer.
Yeah, the factory.
And so these factory guys were coming in, and so we're all set up working on hail, and I'm looking over at these guys, and I'm like, they're not using a light. They had no light. And I'm watching them, and I'm like, what the hell are they doing? And I finally I went over and I go, how come you guys don't have a light? And they go, oh, we'll just use the lights up there in the ceiling there, just all the reflection. Yeah, it's all good. And I'm like, what? I go, no way. And that's what they were doing.
And
That's what they did in the factory. And I was like, oh my God. Then a little bit of time goes along, and I hear them over talking, right? And then I go over to Tom Price. I go, Tom, they're joshing with me, man. They're screwing with me, right? He goes, why? What do you mean? What are they doing? I go, they're talking about going to a Ku Klux Klan meeting. And he looks at me with a straight face and he goes, I'm sorry, they're not kidding. I'm like, what? Okay, I'm in the Midwest.
Yeah.
I don't
funny.
think
I was
I'm even that Midwestern.
Yeah.
I actually had lunch with Tom Price today. I'm out in
Did you
Colorado,
really?
and I did. Him and his son Seth, and myself and Fred Delaney, we had lunch. And
Nice.
whenever I'm out here, I get a chance to meet up with him, and he came through the St. Louis several times. But one story talking about guys working off shadows and different lines without the lights back in the days. Natalia Balderrama, the founder, the main guy of Dent Wizard, the guy that trained Tom Price and trained all these guys. He told me, he said, he was telling me one story, and I don't remember where he was at. He was at some dealership, and he realized that he didn't have his reflector board. So he was pushing a dent out, and he holds his foot up. He had the black and little white shoes and white stripe across it. He holds his shoe up, and he's balancing as he's pushing it out, using the shoe as the reflector.
Dude, that's the most famous story I've ever heard. I've heard that story many times.
Have you? Yeah. I love it too.
Epic. That's epic.
Wow.
Such a nice gentleman, and I am looking forward to the day I get to interview him, and he has agreed to that, so I'm really excited about that.
That's good, because he's a tough one to nail down for an interview. We tried years ago to get him on.
You you should do is you can go to Van's website and you can make some custom. You can make a custom line board shoes for him and give him a pair of that for the interview.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
Right.
And oddly enough, we were threatened in Dent Wizard School when I went through in '95. If you didn't make it through the first month, and I was a corporate guy, so if I didn't make it, they would just send me home and be done with me. But if you were a franchisee technician there learning, they already have money invested in you, and you were always threatened with having to go to Miami to work with Natalia. And and everyone thought like he was like the big bad monster. It's like, oh no, I'll buckle down. I'll stop drinking every night in the bars. And it's like if you got sent to Miami, you knew you were in trouble or you were on your way out. Because he didn't take any BS at all. He's very dedicated. He was very dedicated. He still is, I'm sure. And
yes.
It was a funny thing because it was always hanging over our heads that if you screwed up enough or if you weren't getting it, you were going to Miami. I'm thinking Miami. I'd go to Miami in a heartbeat. I was
right. That sounds good to me.
I was 20 years old at the time. I'm like, yeah, I'll go to Miami.
Sure.
So, but that's
he
good.
is a very nice Christian man.
Yeah, humble, very humble now.
Very humble.
Yeah,
very, very humble.
Yeah.
And I have to say with the majority of people that I've come across to interview, it's been a life-changing event for me. Meeting you guys, meeting Mike, talk about humble, Daniel Graham and Mike Toledo. You guys are you guys are humble, man. And without really taking time out, it's so easy for us to see people on social media and hear your podcast and you kind of form an opinion of these people, and I'm guilty of it. I was so guilty of it.
Yeah.
The coolest thing about doing these interviews is just getting to know people and their story, and so much of the stuff that I don't put on tape, but there's been many tears shed.
Oh, really?
And it maybe it's because low testosterone. I don't know.
We're all getting older. Low T cell.
We're getting older.
Yeah, I think it's because you really. It's not until you do that interview that you're kind of putting your whole life in perspective. Every little bit about it. I mean, you ask a lot of questions, and it's like kind of brings in some deep thought.
Well, if you have any success in this industry, there's somebody that had a part in that, and that gives it meaning. And there's people that I'm so grateful for in my history of getting to where I'm at now. And we all love this industry. Our industry is unique. It's freaking great. I love it to death. And you guys out there listening, you got to get to a Mobiletech Expo. Because that's where you see it. That's where you see it.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And that's where the networking starts there. And, and I think, no matter how competitive people are, there's still fear in there going in. And I've brought so many guys down to Mobiletech and guys that's never heard of it, and guys that are really true, very, very good Dent guys. And they'll come down thinking, that they're the king because they've been told they're the king in their areas of dent removal. And they come in and then they walk out there going, oh my gosh, I don't know anything.
Yeah.
But it's, instead of being fearful of that, you got to grasp it. You got to take onto it and say, look, I want to become the best. And, good friend of mine up in, North Dakota, Shane Farland, he, he's been to a few of them, but now he's starting to get more active and, with it. And it's exciting to see guys get as excited as we are. And I think that's what helps push us even more is their excitement.
Well, and I think that's a good point because, when someone, we're kind of nomadic, especially the hail guys, but the door dingers that are just out there we don't work with other people, and then you walk in and the sales manager's like, oh, you're the best. Or the body shop manager's like, oh, I can't believe you saved that panel. Thank you so much. You're the best. And you hear you're the best. And then you go to Mobiletech Expo and there's 3,000 guys that are the best,
Right.
So, and, you start swapping notes and stories and it's my second family, and that's why one of the main reasons myself and Daniel and Mike, we started this podcast, and John originally, we started this because this industry has given us so much, and it was just a small part, to come on here for an hour a week and talk about it. And, there's a lot of stuff that goes on in the background with producing and editing and stuff like that too, that takes up a lot of time. But a
lot of time, yeah.
It's one of those things that I if this is my legacy that I leave to the PDR community, then so be it. I'd be happy with it. But I'm not done yet. I'm still working at it.
Yeah.
Great.
So.
Yeah, that's right. In the time, and you guys have been doing this for, a long time.
Yeah, going on 3 years almost.
Right. And if people would realize the time and energy that you guys put into it, and I'd say just since I started doing these interviews back in January, that was really birthed at the Mobiletech show. It was birthed actually a little bit before that, the idea of putting something together. David Haxton contacted me and said, hey, well, what do you think about doing something like trying to find the legends of PDR? And that's how it all started off. And then by the time we got to the Mobiletech Expo, I was like, yeah, why don't I just start interviewing people and bring them into my hotel room and start interviewing them? And it's funny. I pull right up to my door. I'm going into my door of the hotel, and who's next door to me? It's Kevin Halewood.
Oh, perfect.
And so I said, Kevin, how are you, buddy? And Kevin is such a dynamic individual. We're so blessed that he's done what he's done for all of us and to unite us.
Yeah.
At this show, he's definitely one of a kind. Him and Karen, and here's a cool story. My son was, I'm getting off topic here, but my son was 5 years old. One of maybe the first 3 or 4 Mobiletech Expos, and I've never missed one. And back then, my son had he jumped off the couch and broke his leg. And if we found out that he had a tumor, they did surgery. They come back and they told us that he was going to die. This was this cancer, that there was no way that he would live to be a teenager. And Kevin heard about it, and I did come to the Mobiletech show that year, and it was pretty hard. But I'm going to leave, and Kevin and Karen came up and gave me these gifts.
Yeah.
For my son. And, I never forgot that, but that's how much of a giving person or giving couple that they are.
Yeah.
And, it was a small gift, but it was just the thought of it. And,
they went on.
So anyway,
way. Yeah.
I've always felt
cool.
like a special piece for, relationship with those guys. And, just for doing something simple like that.
Yeah. Dare I ask, how's your son?
He's 24 years old.
He
works, just got through college. I just moved him to Olathe, Kansas. He's electrical engineering in the aviation department for Garmin.
Whew. Thank God I could breathe now.
Yeah. Sorry, I forgot to tell that
I wasn't really sure where we could go with this. It was like, well.
Hey, the doctors were wrong, okay?
That's a good thing.
That's all that counts.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's a good one when the doctors are wrong.
Thank God.
Yes, that's exactly right. So
now, did you go to Mobiletech Expo when it was originally in Orlando, or when it moved over to Clearwater?
I've been there from the very first one, and I've been there every one of them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I started going in Clearwater. I think it was the second year in Clearwater when it was at the. I think it was. What was it? What are those people that go door to door?
Oh yeah, is it Harry Krishna's or
the other guys?
Oh no, who was it? Yeah, they're all over in Clearwater.
Prince was one.
Yeah, Tom Cruise I think was one, and what's the name of that group?
Was it
Church of Scientology?
Oh, that's right. It was Scientology.
Church
it wasn't.
Scientology.
I was thinking of a different one.
Okay.
So they had a nice convention center, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. I loved it. But oddly enough, I don't think I met you until years later. I haven't missed one either since Clearwater days.
Yeah, I was in the detail supply industry as well as the PDR industry, and I manufactured a carpet die. So
you were working
manufactured carpet. I was working the booths, and but I was doing everything. I've done interior repair, I've done everything, but definitely found my place with PDR and kind of settled down back to it.
Now, Randy, do you still push it all, or are you just managing storms and the company at this point?
So 2 years ago, I did a final little bump on my shoulder and tore my labrum, and I haven't pushed a serious dent in 2 years.
Well, good.
So
for
I
you.
I'm just managing storms.
Yeah,
and trying to find a new path, make a new path for all the old guys.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, fortunately for me, I got a job with Anson, so that's my saving grace. I could retire in about 8 months from now.
It's actually, I've been joking around with them they're building their new building, and I think you're the man to take this project on. So I joke around that I want to create a Dent museum, right? And then you've got the Legends. So I think we do a combination. When they get their new building, they're going to have some wall space, and I create a wall with all the old Dent tools, right?
Yeah.
All the originals, so guys can appreciate where this has all come from. And then next to that, you create the Legend wall, and you have like a picture of all the Legends with the little bio below. What do you think?
And a little bit of story behind it.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you guys, that is like my dream, because it's funny. I've collected some old tools, from back in the days. And I don't know if you guys saw one interview with Ferd. His name is Robert Frank, but it's Ferd. He started I believe he started in 1989. It's the coolest interview. No offense to anybody, but this was the coolest interview I've had an opportunity to do. This guy was the bass guitar player for John Mellencamp.
Yeah, that was a great interview. You did a 2-part on that, I think.
I don't remember. It was episode 69. Yeah. I put him on episode 69 because he just turned 69 years old.
Oh, that's
that's how I can remember that. Yeah, but he made his own tools in training. I mean, that was they took a day or two of training, and they made their own tools. And I'm sure I could get one from Ferd. I'm sure I could get one of those tools to go in this museum. Would be pretty cool.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah.
Yeah, he had gotten injured, I believe. He got injured and had to not tour or something like that, and then found
couldn't
PDR.
make the tour.
Right. Yeah. He cut his wrist up, and he just came back from England. I think they made 4 albums.
Yeah.
And he just came back from England. They were over there for a year, and he was just walking through his house, slipped and fell with his tray. Somehow glass broke, and he slipped and cut his hand up, his left hand, so he wasn't able to play.
That is like the worst thing that could happen to a musician or a PDR technician.
Yeah,
sure. That happened in Back to the Future.
Oh, I actually that's what got me into PDR though. Is I was working in a printing company, and I lost my first digit off my first pointer finger, and I was a musician at the time. I'm like, well, I'm not a musician anymore. I can't ever play guitar again. And actually, they sewed it back on. It took 2 years to get it back to normal. But in that process is when I got into PDR. I figured, you know what? I don't really need the tip of my tool or tip of my finger for PDR. I could use the whole hand. So I got this Franken finger as a reminder.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So, okay, Randy, PDR tool time here. We like to do the exposés. We ask the hard-hitting questions. We throw out the information nobody else does. So, now, the reason we don't put exposé on our Facebook feed is nobody knows how to spell it. But that doesn't matter. The reason we are here and what everybody wants to know, what was it like to stick Ray's finger in your mouth?
Oh, Lord. Oh.
Okay, you lost me here. I don't know this story. What's the story here?
It was around Super Bowl, if I'm not mistaken.
It was a Super Bowl commercial we did to be funny. And
PDRitos.
let me tell you what. he's got one sexy finger. I don't know where the thing's been, but it's a pretty damn sexy finger. Okay?
God. This.
All right, tell us how that came about. Who came up with the idea to make the PDRitos commercial?
So the idea was mine, and he was game enough to go with it. And we said, we're going to do this every year. We're going to get together and do a PDR Reno commercial. And on the way up, he was coming through St. Louis. He was coming out to Denver to work with some guys right around the Super Bowl. And he come by and he said, "Hey, I'm going to be coming through St. Louis. So let's do an interview." So, on the way up there, I grabbed a bag of Doritos and I looked at it and I thought, could I turn this into a P and a D and a R? So before he arrived, I went over to the Office Max or Walmart. I don't know where I got it, but I went and got some white out. And sure enough, did a little fancy artwork on it, and we made PDRitos. So yeah, that's great.
Well, you guys were both great in it. I mean, it was great acting. It was. You guys should be, doing that for a living.
Okay. Do we have a link to this? Because I haven't seen it.
It was on Facebook.
I could not. I couldn't find it earlier, just before the show started, because I was itching.
Okay, we got to find this and put it in the show notes.
Yeah,
it is on PDR interviews.
Okay,
and it would be back in probably January or February's timeline. Right, maybe a week or two before the Super Bowl.
All right.
Okay, we'll try to find it and put it in the show notes for you.
No.
For it, so.
It was actually on Super Bowl Sunday when we released that. That's correct. So
that's awesome.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate that.
Yeah. Right.
Hey, once it's on the internet, it's forever.
That's right.
That's right. Yeah. I was talking to David Haxton.
Where do you see the future of these interviews? What do you have a bigger picture? Of
really no big picture here. I can tell you exactly. First of all, I was talking to David Haxton, and he goes, these guys do their homework. They're probably going to ask you some questions about different things. But I'll be honest. About that PDR Reno commercial and sucking Ray's finger, I totally forgot about that. So you guys did blow me off on that one. You totally threw me through one. I was like, "Oh Lord, seriously."
John found that one before the show, and he's like, "All right, we're gonna pop this one on him." All right.
Actually, I thought about that. Just as I thought about that, all of a sudden my phone rings, and I was sitting in the bed of a pickup, so I didn't see who it was, but I thought, "No, did that say Randy?" So I'm just like, "This is John." And you're like, "Hey, it's Randy." I'm like, dang it. Only thing I'm thinking of the whole time when I'm on the phone with you is you sticking Ray's finger in your mouth. I'm like, I'm hitting him with that question tonight.
That's fun.
That's a riot. So where are we going with it? So David Haxton actually, we were kind of doing a lot of conversating about finding the true legends of PDR. And then we started thinking, man, there's a bunch because, first of all, we were going to focus on the pioneers, the true pioneers, the guys, the Toledos, the Natalia Valderrama, the gentleman that, I'm sorry, my mind went blank, but the gentleman that trained Don Cavanaugh. There's some very cool stories that we've had between Don Cavanaugh and Lido, hearing about how and these two don't even know each other.
Yeah.
But hearing how they battle around California to New York and all Miami and all over, they'd be battling against each other. And Don would be one of the guys that's traveling all over. And Jeff, let's see, what's his name? Good friend of mine, Rick
Hummer, yeah.
They were traveling all around and they're competing against each other. And here we are, 25, 30 years later, and they could actually sit down at the same table and have a discussion and be good friends, when before it was really pretty fierce between everybody in the beginning years.
Yeah.
So David, that's kind of, we thought, let's try to find this and let's put this in different groups. We'll have the pioneers, and then we would have, like the social media guys and the newer guys, and just, we started having all these different categories.
Yeah.
And we said, it's really not probably fair to say legend. But to some of our minds are, definitely the guys that trained you is probably one of your legends.
Sure.
Good or bad.
Yeah. it's the history of our industry, and I'm so glad that you're documenting it. Because I think it matters. That I love history. I'm a student of history. I love anything old, and because I'm old, but
Yeah.
but there's great stories there. It teaches us something. The guy that trained me, you need to interview him. He's really shy though.
He's way younger than you though. Mike is in his early 50s.
Yeah, he might be a little bit. I don't know. He's close. Yeah. But what was interesting about him, he moved out from Missouri to Los Gatos, and he started a retail business there and started doing training. But right after I all of a sudden he disappeared after he trained me. So I never knew what happened to him. And then years later, I finally find him through Craig. And turns out he moved to Japan and started training guys in Japan. So he was the first real trainer in Japan, him and his partner. And then his partner ended up staying there for, I think, a few years training. So they really, I think, set the tone or the training for all of Japan at that point. So he's got interesting stories. Not all these guys have something to contribute.
Where do you see our industry? Do you think we're still in our infancy? Are we teenagers, or do you think this is we're topping out, Randy?
Wow, that's a question, isn't it? I would say most people say that we have a really good outlook on where our industry is going. Ron Cronin brings a different light to it. I just released his interviews, I think, the last 2 Mondays.
Yeah.
He thinks that there's probably another 10 to 15 years left. It does make you question it because, I've seen this on Facebook. There's a BMW commercial and it shows this blonde come out in this just slick car. Have you guys seen that? And she can wave her hand around the door and the door automatically opens up. Yeah. And then the tires are built into the body. And when they turn it, it kind of looks like almost like a snake skin or something. The body kind of goes out. Yeah. That's definitely not metal. We're definitely moving to an age where aluminum's being used a lot more, and they're trying to get lighter materials. Yeah. So, where's our industry going to go? I really don't know. Maybe we're right in the best part of it. Maybe we will be for the next 10 to 15 years. Maybe Ron's right. Maybe it will slowly disappear. I can say right now that anybody that's in our industry, if you're not paying attention, you're going to be pushed out of this so quickly in the next 2 to 3 years just because of the calibrations and sensors.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll tell you why.
If they're not paying attention, they're going to be pushed right out.
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I think Ron is wrong with 10 to 15 years. That's nothing. That's absolutely nothing. And the reason is why this. When I was a little kid, I was promised a flying car. And I don't have a friggin' flying car right now. So, I'm sorry.
Well, during Tom and Jerry back there, remember when the cars of the future, and they had a bumper all the way around?
Yeah. If we transported somebody from the past to right now, they would be disappointed, I think. They would be really impressed with our phones. But as far as cars go, they'd be like, really? That's it? That's all you got?
Yeah, we got heated and ventilated seats.
Yeah.
And touchscreen.
That's all. I mean, come on. In the 50s, we had dreams that were big. And no, nothing.
I think there's actually going to be a combo there, Randy, and kind of like what you were saying. The materials are going to change. But if we've noticed, look at how our tooling has changed to handle the materials that have already changed.
Yeah.
Look at the aluminums we have. It's not the beer cans aluminum of the 90s that we were seeing on cars. We've got some really high strength aluminum. Stuff is like a tank. We've got, it broke all the old cheaper tools. It bent a lightweight metal rod into absolutely nothing. So, I mean, everything is kind of morphed. So I see, the people that are in it just to be in it going away. But the people that are in it for the love of the craft are going to adapt with the market.
I agree.
I absolutely agree. And it really just depends on who you talk to. But I think Ron did have an interesting outlook on it that I hadn't heard from anybody else. So it does make you kind of question it. But, it also makes me go back to the early 90s and when we were introduced to Saturns with all the plastic sides.
Sure.
And, that went away pretty quick.
Yeah.
And at that point, I remember, I admit that it was early 90s, I guess. And I remember going, man, I thought this was going to be a great business. Now everything's just going to go to that. And it's like, how wrong, how wrong. And, at this point, I've got another, 10 years, 15 years. I love the industry. I'm not getting out of it. Just trying to find a new path for me inside this industry.
Sure.
Because look, we're getting older.
Yeah.
And,
yeah.
I personally don't care if I push another dent. I know dent guys are gonna be like, what? Oh my gosh. But, seriously, I've pushed so many dents. I would rather benefit, our St. Louis market and anybody that I meet and try to just help nurture them, and help bring them up to par, with our industry and help raise the level.
Oddly enough, with tools, what I've noticed is that a lot of the old designs are coming back with the sharpness, because it seems like throughout the 90s, and I know when I went to Dent Wizard, they went through and took out all our tools that had sharp tips on them. We were allowed the hockey sticks. We were allowed, the Ford tool and the round tips and stuff like that.
Right.
But they had old blade tips that looked like the blade tips that we use now. And Dent Wizard didn't come up with those. Someone else did. Or, maybe Lido did, but there was other people using blade tip tools. And, tools that look like stand liners too, where you had literally like a blade to it, and then it went to a sharp tip. Now you see Anson coming out with the tequila line that are really sharp, and it seems like everyone's coming out with sharp tools to handle that high strength steel and the aluminum. It might be a different material that we're dealing with now, but the flexibility of the panels go back towards the early 90s, where it was harder to push a dent out on steel because the gauge was thicker.
Yep.
So I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
So I think it's still this is going to be a viable market. I hope it's around forever. I don't think I'll be pushing for forever, but I love this industry so much. I'm not going anywhere for the next 20 years. You guys are all stuck with me.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Randy, I would say kind of, what you're doing, you and I have talked several times throughout this year as you've been out and about and doing stuff. And you've been, I think you found a new market. You're getting whole new people on board in whole new ways. So, I mean, I know you've called me just because of Mobiletech RX, and we put insurance companies onto it because of you, and
right.
So I think you found that. I think you found an avenue, and you're like the quiet guy back there doing all these interviews, but yet you're kind of getting in front of an awful lot of people. And
I love people. I'm going to be honest. And I love hearing stories. I love getting to know people. And I think if there can be anything that I hope that or this PDR interviews does, not that it's me, because I think it's each individual. We have great men and women in our industry. And I think one thing I was really disgusted with and have been just turned off with is social media and the negativity. That every time you turn on Facebook or anytime you hear anything, you got all these keyboard warriors, and I hate to say that because I know it's true.
Yeah.
And with what you guys are doing, and we have men that are rising up, men and women rising up in our industries, and bringing out positive. And it seems like since we're all doing that, we're working together, and no one sat down and talked about this. I mean, I've never sat down and talked with you guys about it or anything. Really haven't talked with anybody about it. But it's just, I don't want any negativity. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
And when I see stuff, I just shut it down. I don't think I block anybody, but what I do is I just kind of quit following them.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't allow it on PDR Tool Time's Facebook page. And if you look at our Facebook page, it's all relatively positive, good vibe kind of a deal, you know. That's the way we make it.
I might miss one or two comments along the road. I can't read everything.
Well, there needs to be a little bit of banter and stuff like that,
Sure.
but nothing over the top.
Right.
You know?
Right. Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's thanks for the compliment. I appreciate that, but it's really everybody. It's you guys have all been a part of it.
So
Vince,
as we bring this to a close, Randy, what would you like to end with? What are some words of wisdom to the future legends, the future interviews that you were going to interview? What would you say?
I hope on the future interviews that I hope people are just stay open, and I hope that we can get real life stories out of where we are, and how we got there, and that everybody shows really due respect to the people that trained them. But I like to hear the battle stories, the battle wounds of what some of us have gone through. And Clifton Atkins is on my list. He's got such a great story.
Oh yeah.
And I just haven't had time to really sit with him one-on-one and get it all out. There's so many of us. We all have a story. And, I've got a story that'll probably blow people's minds. I've never released it. I will someday. Maybe I'm getting more
sentimental
by hearing everybody else's stories.
Yeah. Well,
maybe it needs to be all of us each asking you a question.
There you go.
Yeah.
Maybe it's what?
We got to interview you. Maybe.
Yep.
Yeah. Do the reverse.
Maybe down the road.
Yeah. Well, like
so
even
are you gonna
when you had Mike on,
are you going to be in Vegas?
Yeah, I was planning on it. I'm going to be working with Don Cavanaugh, and I'm leaving Denver, our group that we have out here, to go up and help Don work a storm. So I don't know. I was planning on being at Vegas, and I sure hope to, but I don't know exactly what the storm's going to entail up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a tough hit area.
Well, like what I was saying before, Daniel kept on interrupting me. Was like you pulled the story out of Toledo. Toledo, by all intents and purposes, what that kid grew up with, he should have been a turd. He should have been in prison or a junkie or something like that. But I mean, something turned his. Actually, there was no life turning around for him. He was just never a turd. But and he doesn't go into it very deeply with his own podcast, but he did with you, and it kind of touched my heart a little bit.
So I'm sorry, we had 5 or 6 people. Were you there, John, at that one?
No, I wasn't at the one with Mike Toledo. No.
Okay. Vince, you were, right?
No, I wasn't. Oh yeah.
You weren't.
Yeah,
okay.
I was. Where was I? Yeah, we were at the table together. I filmed it, didn't I?
We were at the table.
Yeah.
I believe so. I'll tell you what, Mike, what just an awesome man.
Yeah.
To be able to be that humble and to go through the things that he's went through. And look, I think once people open up and they're going to see other sides of all of us.
Sure.
And I think besides just seeing the guy on social media, to get to know a little bit behind them about who that person is and what they represent, I think that speaks so much to our industry as a whole, to each one of us.
Yeah.
And if we can just kind of keep that going on. You guys had asked me what I see in the future. David Haxon and I, we have this vision. David is just an amazing man.
Great guy.
One of the most giving and just extremely humble, and talk about somebody that just gives gifts to our industry. He's kind of like the football coach. Just kind of coaching the industry, encouraging them, and kind of guiding it. And he's been like a coach to me. He's a great guy. But I think one of the things that we'd like to see is not so much legends, but legendary legacy awards. We would like to start presenting legacy awards to people that that a panel will judge, that we'll vote on.
Yeah.
I won't even be on the panel. I'm just going to keep just be me.
Yeah.
So
that's great.
I think it'll be cool.
But we're going to try to come up with legacy awards, and and there's so many people that have given so much, all of you guys, everybody, there's been so many people that give so much to our industry, and just something just to say, hey, thank you.
Yeah.
Our industry thanks you.
Yeah.
So that's where we see it going in the future.
Cool.
Well,
that's a good place to close.
Yeah, Randy, we do, we're running into an hour here, so we do need to wrap it up. And,
you bet.
We appreciate you.
Yeah, we appreciate everything you're doing, and, interviews, and you're a great guy, and I look forward to seeing you at all the events and all that stuff, and sit down and talk to you.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah, hopefully I'll be there in Vegas. The plan is to be there, and and we had a private sponsor us to have the next two booth at the next two Mobiletech Expos.
Oh, sweet!
And I thought that was pretty cool. We're not out trying to make any money on anything or anything, but a private sponsor came by or contacted us and said, "Hey, we want to take care of the next two booths for you at the Mobiletech Expo," because they heard that I was doing interviews out of the hotel and tables
awesome.
and so forth. So they said they'd like to do that. So yeah, I'm supposed to be there. It's that hail business is hail business.
Exactly.
Yep.
So it's how I make my income.
You got to pay your bills and feed the family.
So.
Well, guys, that brings us to a close to another great episode. That's another one in the can. And I will close with level up your tools.
And don't do stupid stuff.
And remember to keep it stiff. Thanks for listening.
For current discount codes, visit PDRtooltime.com. With sponsors like Hog Glue and Hog Tabs, making your job easy. Found at AnsonPDR.com.
Magnetech Mat, magnetic utility tool mat. Version 2 is now available.
And Mobiletech RX, the app that makes you money.